He said, "You'll still be the face of it, Claire." And then he shoved the legal papers across my dinner plate, right between the lasagna and the wine they only break out for celebrations. That was the night I realized my own parents weren't trying to help me. They were trying to take over everything I'd built from scratch. Behind my back, they even filed a trademark for my company's name, without including mine on the paperwork. But here's what they didn't see coming. I dissolved it all. Every shelf, every cent, every contract, gone. Then I rebuilt it, without them, without their name, and without mercy. But before we begin, let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. My name is Claire Dennings, and I'm 34 years old. After my divorce, I transformed a yoga mat and laptop into a thriving wellness studio, where I teach daily classes and run my product line. My father Harvey and mother Suzanne, who once called my business dreams cute, now hover at every event, their questions about revenue growing sharper each week. The scent of eucalyptus and lavender fills my minimalist space as I arrange meditation cushions, but my peace shatters when their familiar shadows cross my doorway. My fingers tighten around soft fabric, remembering every dismissive comment, every doubtful glance. What they don't see behind my professional smile are the locked drawers of documentation, the backup drives, the years of learned vigilance. But let me start from the beginning. 2 nights later, Mom called to invite me over for dinner. "I'm making your favorite," she sang through the phone, "the lasagna with the special cheese blend." Her voice carried that sugary tone she'd always used when she wanted something, but I pushed the thought away. Maybe I was being paranoid. You know that feeling when you walk into a trap that's been perfectly set? The kind where everything feels both right and wrong at the same time? That was my parents' house that evening. Frank Sinatra crooned from the vintage record player Dad treasured, the one that reminded me of Sunday afternoons watching him clean his vinyl collection. The kitchen smelled like garlic and herbs, warm and inviting. Mom had even pulled out the good plates, the ones with the delicate blue rim that only appeared on special occasions. "Claire, honey!" Mom wrapped me in a cloud of her signature perfume, Chanel No. 5, the same scent she'd worn since I was little. "You look tired. Are you getting enough sleep?" I accepted the glass of wine Dad handed me, noticing it was the expensive Cabernet they usually saved for celebrations. "I'm fine, Mom. Just busy with the new product launch." About that. Dad settled into his chair, swirling his wine with studied casualness. "The business is really taking off, isn't it?" The lasagna sat steaming between us, perfectly cut into precise squares. Mom had even remembered to make it with the lactose-free cheese blend she'd perfected for my sensitive stomach. Everything was orchestrated for comfort, for nostalgia, for trust. "It's doing well," I said carefully, taking a small bite. "We're projecting solid growth for next quarter." "We is exactly what we wanted to discuss, sweetheart." Dad reached beside his chair. How had I not noticed the leather portfolio waiting there? "Your mother and I have been thinking." My fork froze halfway to my mouth. The marinara sauce dripped slowly back onto my plate, red and accusatory. "You've done such amazing work," Mom chimed in, her voice honey-sweet. "But you're all alone out there. No protection, no backup." Dad slid a folder across the table, nudging my plate aside. "We want to make this official, make it a true family enterprise." The documents inside were crisp and professional, laden with legal terminology that made my head spin. But certain phrases jumped out like neon signs. Transfer of ownership, 51% controlling interest, new family LLC. "I don't understand," I said, though my churning stomach suggested otherwise. "What exactly are you proposing?" "It's simple." Dad leaned forward, his glasses catching the dining room light. "We form a new company together. Your mother and I would hold the majority share. For protection, of course. You'd still run everything day to day. Just paperwork, darling." Mom's hand fluttered across the table to pat mine, her wedding rings clicking against my water glass. Nothing would really change, except everything would change. The business I'd built from nothing, the one they'd dismissed as a hobby until it started turning real profit, would no longer be mine. "I'll need to think about this," I managed, proud of how steady my voice sounded. "Maybe have my lawyer look it over." "Oh, there's no need for lawyers," Dad waved dismissively. "This is family." I smiled and nodded, playing the good daughter while my mind raced. Every compliment from the past month suddenly replayed with new context. Mom's sudden interest in my marketing strategy. Dad's questions about my supplier contracts, their surprise visits to the studio. More wine? Mom offered, already reaching for the bottle. No thanks. I should head out. Early client meeting tomorrow. I stood gathering my purse. The folder stayed on the table, untouched. Take it with you, Dad insisted, pushing it toward me. Sleep on it. We're just looking out for you, Claire Bear. Claire Bear. He hadn't called me that since I was 10. The childhood nickname landed like a false note in a familiar song. I drove home in a daze, their words echoing. Protection. Family enterprise. Just paperwork. But one phrase kept drowning out the rest. 51%. The controlling interest. My stomach clenched as I remembered Mom's perfectly arranged table, Dad's carefully casual tone. They'd staged the entire evening like a business acquisition dressed up as a family dinner. The morning sun streaming through my office windows usually energized me. But today, it just illuminated the scattered papers across my desk, legal documents that made my head throb. I'd been staring at the same paragraph for 20 minutes, each word feeling like a trap waiting to spring. You know that feeling when you're reading something important but your brain keeps sliding off the words? That's where I was, caught between professional analysis and pure panic. My phone buzzed. 3 texts from Mom, just checking in. Have you looked at the papers? Dad and I are so excited. I set the phone face down and pressed my palms against my eyes until I saw stars. The scent of my morning tea, chamomile with honey, my usual calm-down brew, had gone cold and bitter. Claire? My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Your father's here. He says he has a meeting with Sarah from finance? My head snapped up. What? I didn't... But before I could finish, Dad's voice boomed from our open concept workspace. Sarah, those quarterly projections look interesting. Have you considered adjusting the revenue forecasts? I rushed out of my office. There he was, leaning over my CFO's desk like he owned the place, his wire-rimmed glasses reflecting her computer screen. Sarah shot me a confused look. Dad, I started, trying to keep my voice level. I don't remember scheduling... Claire Bear! Mom's voice rang out from the direction of our marketing department. She swept in wearing one of her designer suits, pearl earrings catching the light. I was just sharing some thoughts about the website design with Jason. The font choices could use a more sophisticated touch. Jason, my lead designer, looked like he wanted to crawl under his desk. I didn't blame him. Mom, Dad, could we talk in my office? I gestured stiffly toward the door. In a minute, honey. Dad waved me off. Sarah's showing me some interesting trends in the Q3 numbers. My chest tightened. This was the same dismissive tone he'd used when I first pitched my business idea 3 years ago. Back then, he'd called it my little yoga thing and suggested I focus on real work instead. Now, actually, I said firmly, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Inside my office, I closed the door and turned to face them. You can't just show up here and start questioning my staff. Questioning? Dad's eyebrows shot up. I'm offering guidance, experience. You're letting emotion cloud your judgment again. Again? The word tasted bitter. Like when you said this business would never work? Oh, Claire, Mom sighed, perching on my desk edge uninvited. We're family. We're trying to help. Why are you shutting us out? Because I didn't ask for help. The words burst out louder than intended. I immediately regretted the volume, but not the sentiment. Dad's face hardened. Clearly you need it. Your reaction right now proves you're too emotional to handle this scale of operation alone. I felt my face flush hot. Was I overreacting? Maybe they really were trying to help. Maybe I was being ungrateful. Maybe... A knock at the door interrupted my spiral. Claire? It was Anna, my COO. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to review the supplier contracts before the afternoon call. We'll let you get back to work. Mom stood, smoothing her skirt. Just remember, we only want what's best for you. After they left, Anna closed the door and turned to me. Want to tell me what that was about? I handed her the folder of documents. As she read, her expression shifted from curious to concerned to outright alarmed. They want 51%? She looked up sharply. Claire, this isn't help. This is a hostile takeover wrapped in family obligation. So I'm not crazy? Not being ungrateful? The only crazy thing would be signing these. She sat down across from me. Your instincts are spot on. They're trying to leverage emotional manipulation into legal control. I slumped in my chair, relief flooding through me. The validation felt like finally being able to breathe. "There's something else you should see," Anna said, pulling out her tablet. "I was going to tell you this morning, but then your parents showed up." She pulled up a browser window and turned the screen toward me. "I was doing our regular trademark monitoring and this popped up last night." I leaned forward to read and felt the blood drain from my face. My hands shook as I stared at the trademark filing on Anna's tablet. This couldn't be real. But there it was. My brand name, my life's work, with their names listed as owners. "I need to make a call," I managed to say. Anna squeezed my shoulder and left quietly, closing the door behind her. The office felt too small suddenly, like the walls were closing in. I paced, phone in hand, memories flooding back unbidden. Remember the basement where I'd started? Camping out on a yoga mat, surrounded by prototype products, working until 3 a.m. because I couldn't afford proper office space yet. The smell of essential oils and determination, testing blends until my hands were raw. Dad had walked past that basement door 100 times without ever asking what I was doing down there. I dialed Marcus, my lawyer. He picked up on the third ring. "Claire? It's after 8. I need you to check something for me." My voice sounded strange, distant. "Any recent filings related to my business, especially trademarks." "Now? Can't this wait until—" "Please, Marcus. It's important." He sighed. "Give me an hour." I couldn't go home. Instead, I sat in my darkened office, watching the city lights blur through the windows. Mom's voice echoed in my head. "We only want what's best for you." Right. Because nothing says parental love like trying to steal your daughter's company. The email notification made me jump. Subject line: "Urgent. Trademark search results." My heart pounded as I opened the attachment. There it was in black and white. Application number 86, 724th and 391. Filing date, 3 days ago. Applicants, Harvey Dennings and Suzanne Dennings. The brand name I'd built from nothing. They were trying to own it. I called Marcus back immediately. "Tell me this isn't what I think it is," I said when he answered. "It's exactly what you think it is." His voice was grim. "They've filed for exclusive rights to your brand name. And Claire, they've included supplementary documentation suggesting they were involved in the company's founding." The room spun. "That's a lie." "I know. But they're betting on the trademark office not knowing that." "How long do I have?" 45 days to file an opposition. After that, if there are no challenges—" He paused. "It becomes theirs." 45 days. The number hit me like a physical blow. 6 weeks to save everything I'd built, or watch my parents steal it right out from under me. "What do they gain from this?" I asked, though I already knew. "Control," Marcus said flatly. "With trademark rights, they could force you to cease using the name. Then they could either demand you sell to them or start their own company using your brand's reputation." I thought about that basement again. The late nights, the failed experiments, the first successful product launch that had me crying happy tears at my laptop. None of them had been there. Not once. "Claire?" Marcus's voice brought me back. "We need to move fast." "I can file an opposition first thing?" "No," I cut him off. "Not yet. I need to think." After hanging up, I sat in the dark for a long time. The trademark application glowed on my screen like an accusation. Mom and Dad's names stared back at me, no trace of shame in their Times New Roman font. Sleep was impossible that night. I lay in bed watching shadows crawl across my ceiling, cataloging every interaction of the past few months. The sudden interest in my finances, the unexpected visits, the helpful suggestions that felt more like criticism. The lasagna dinner that was really an ambush. How long had they been planning this? Had they always seen me as nothing more than an opportunity? A way to reclaim the success Dad lost when his own business failed? My phone lit up with a text from Mom. "Hope you're not still upset about today, sweetie. We should talk tomorrow. Dad and I have some exciting ideas to share." I turned the phone face down without responding. 45 days. The clock was ticking. I stared at my phone for a full minute before hitting call. My hands were shaking. Funny how betrayal does that to you. Remember how your whole body trembles after a near-miss car accident? This felt worse. Mom answered on the second ring. "Sweetie, we were just talking about you. Is Dad there?" Put me on speaker. My voice came out steadier than I felt. A shuffle, then Dad's voice. Claire, perfect timing. Your mother and I were reviewing some marketing proposals. Why did you file for my trademark? Silence. Then Mom, with that sugary tone she used when lying. Oh, honey, we were going to discuss that with you. It's just a protective measure. Protective? The word tasted bitter. Protecting what exactly? The family interests. Dad cut in. All business now. Listen, Claire, you've done well with the initial setup, but it's time to think bigger, more professional. I pressed my palm against the cool window of my apartment, watching traffic crawl below. By stealing my company's name? Don't be dramatic, Mom sighed. We're not stealing anything. We're securing it. Without telling me? Without my name on the filing? Dad cleared his throat. You'll still be the face of everything, Claire. Nothing changes day to day. The face. Just the face. Something inside me cracked. Maybe it was that last thread of hope that they'd suddenly turn back into the parents I needed. Or maybe it was the final delusion that they saw me as anything more than a convenient opportunity. I built this company, I said quietly. While you were both telling me to get a real job, remember? When I was mixing formulas in the basement and you wouldn't even come downstairs to look? And now look how far it's come, Mom chirped. That's why we need to protect. Stop saying protect. The words exploded out of me. You're not protecting anything. You're stealing what I built because you think you can get away with it. That's enough. Dad's voice went cold. You're being ungrateful. Everything we've done has been for your benefit. If you can't see that, retract the filing. No. One word. So final. So familiar. The same tone he used when I wanted to quit his precious piano lessons at 12. Then we're done here. I hung up before they could respond. My apartment felt too small suddenly. I paced from window to kitchen to living room, my reflection catching in every glossy surface. The face of the company. Like I was some spokesmodel they'd hired, not the woman who'd built everything from scratch. Remember those late-night infomercials where someone's hawking a product that isn't theirs? That's what they wanted to turn me into. A pretty puppet reading their script. I grabbed my laptop and dropped onto the couch. My fingers moved on autopilot, pulling up the state's business registration portal. New LLC application. My cursor hovered over the company name field. This was crazy, right? Starting over from scratch? But then I thought about that trademark filing, about Dad's cold no, about Mom's sugary lies. They'd planned this, probably for months. How long before they tried pushing me out completely? I typed in a new company name, something bold, something that had nothing to do with the Dennings family. The registration fee hit my credit card at 11:42 p.m. By midnight, I had confirmation of my new LLC. It felt like signing divorce papers all over again, that same mix of terror and exhilaration. Standing at my bedroom window, I watched the city's midnight pulse. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably congratulating themselves on their clever plan. They had no idea I was about to burn it all down. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Sleep on it, sweetie. You'll feel better in the morning. Lunch tomorrow? I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop again and started a new document. Rebranding timeline. The cursor blinked at me like a countdown. You know that moment in action movies where someone's about to push the detonator? That's how I felt, finger hovering over the keyboard. Except I wasn't just destroying something. I was already planning its resurrection. I began to type. I'd always wondered how resistance fighters kept their cool around the enemy. Now I knew, pure necessity mixed with a dash of revenge-fueled acting skills. The next morning, I walked into the office like everything was normal. Said good morning to the front desk, grabbed my usual green tea, nodded at Dad, who'd somehow materialized in our break room again, talking margins with our accountant. But at exactly 7 p.m., after most of the staff had gone home, I locked my office door and texted 4 people. Mara, social media, James, COO, Devin, digital infrastructure, and Lily, product management. Emergency planning session, my place, bring wine. They showed up looking concerned. We'd never done an after-hours meeting at my apartment before. I'd ordered Thai food and set up my dining room like a war room, complete with laptops, notepads, and yes, several bottles of cheap rosé. Okay, what's the crisis? James asked, accepting a very full glass. I took a deep breath. How much have you all noticed about my parents lately? Mara shifted uncomfortably. You mean besides your dad cornering me about Instagram metrics yesterday? Or your mom reorganizing the product display without asking? Lily added. They filed for a trademark on our brand name, I said flatly. Without me. Behind my back. The room went silent. Devon's fork clattered against his plate. They what? James's voice was deadly quiet. I pulled up the filing on my laptop and turned it around. They crowded in, reading. The anger in the room was palpable. These people had been with me since we were working out of my garage. They can't do that, Lily said. Can they? They can try. We have 45 days to dispute it. I opened another window. Or we can do this instead. They leaned in again, this time looking at the new LLC registration. You're rebranding? Mara's eyes went wide. Everything? Complete Phoenix move, I confirmed. New name, new look, same soul. But we have to do it fast, and we have to do it quietly. James was already pulling out his tablet. Timeline? 30 days to build everything in parallel. 2 weeks after that to migrate. Final switch happens all at once. Same day I filed dissolution papers for the current company. Leaving them with, Devon started grinning. A trademarked empty shell, I finished. While we're up and running under a brand they can't touch. Holy shit, Mara whispered. That's brilliant, and terrifying. I'm in. We all are, James said firmly. The others nodded. I felt something tight in my chest loosen. God, I loved these people. Okay, here's how we divide and conquer. I pulled out a timeline I'd drafted. Mara, your point on the new brand identity. Work with the graphic team, but keep it classified. Project code name only. Devon, you're building our new digital infrastructure from scratch. James, you're managing vendor transitions and legal compliance. Lily, you're coordinating product relabeling and inventory logistics. They were all scribbling notes, faces focused. The initial shock had transformed into determined energy. What about your parents? Devon asked. They're in the office almost daily now. That's my job, I said. I keep them distracted. Act normal. Maybe even a little defeated. Let them think they're winning. While we build the escape pod, Lily grinned. Exactly. I raised my glass. To burning it down and building it better. To Phoenix moves, Mara added. We clinked glasses, and I felt that familiar pre-launch electricity. The same energy that got us started in my garage years ago. The next morning, I watched Dad stride into our office lobby like he owned it. He was wearing his business mentor face, the one that said he was about to give unwanted advice to my staff. Good morning, sweetheart, he said, patting my shoulder as he passed. Your mother and I were thinking about the holiday campaign. I smiled blandly, nodding along. Behind him, I saw James duck into the conference room with Devon and a stack of coded folders. Mara was at her desk, apparently scrolling social media, actually working on mood boards for our new aesthetic. Right under their noses, we were already burning it all down. You know what they say about keeping your enemies closer? Sometimes it's the perfect cover for a revolution. The next 2 weeks felt like living a double life. Every morning, I'd walk into our sun-filled office space, greet my team with my usual smile, and post our regular Mindful Monday reels, all while secret Slack channels buzzed with updates about our Phoenix project. You know that feeling when you're planning a surprise party, and you have to act completely normal around the guest of honor? Multiply that by about 1,000, add in betrayal and corporate takeover attempts, and you'll get close to what I was dealing with. The engagement on yesterday's post was fantastic, I told Dad when he dropped by unannounced. Again. The familiar scent of his cologne, the same one he'd worn since I was little, now made my stomach turn. We're up 12% from last week. Good, good. He barely looked up from his phone. By the way, I've been talking to Riverside Marketing about some possibilities. Big stuff coming. My hand tightened on my coffee mug. Oh? They've got connections with major retailers, distribution channels we haven't even thought of. He finally glanced up, adjusting his wireframe glasses. I've set up a meeting for next Thursday. I nodded, remembering the way he used to practice that same authoritative tone in front of the mirror before his business presentations. Back then, I'd thought it was impressive. Now it just seemed hollow. Sounds interesting, I said. I'll check my calendar. The moment he left, I texted James. Dad's planning retail expansion. Timeline check? His response was immediate. New website 80% done. Devon's crushing it. I closed my eyes briefly, letting out a slow breath. We were still on track. Mom was worse in her own way. She'd started leaving little gifts around my office, marketing materials, press packets, even a folder labeled interview talking points that made me want to scream. I thought these might help, darling, she'd said, wearing that perfect cream cashmere sweater and her signature pearl earrings. You sometimes get a bit scattered during interviews. These will keep you on message. On message. Right. Their message. The folder sat unopened on my desk, next to a framed photo from our first pop-up shop. In it, I was surrounded by my original team, all of us exhausted but grinning, covered in essential oil samples and hope. That photo kept me centered whenever I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. Between maintaining our regular content calendar and secretly building an entirely new brand, I barely slept. Every Instagram post felt like a performance. Every team meeting was an exercise in coded language. We'd developed a whole system. Project Sunrise meant the new brand. Maintenance work meant migration prep, and vendor reviews were actually sessions with our new graphic design team. Claire? Mara caught me one afternoon as I was reviewing product labels. Old ones, for show. The, maintenance team needs your input on some color choices. I followed her to our back office, where she'd transformed a supply closet into a mini-brand war room. The walls were covered in mood boards, color swatches, and typography samples, all for our new identity. We're thinking of these for the primary palette, she said, pointing to a series of rich, earthy tones that looked nothing like our current pastels. Fresh start, but still grounded. Just like us. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed. My lawyer's name flashed on the screen. 1 second, I told Mara, stepping into the hallway. Hey, Mark, what's... Claire. His voice was tense. We need to talk, now. My stomach dropped. What happened? Your parents' trademark application. There's been a development. Can you come to my office? I glanced at my watch, then at the closet where Mara was waiting with our future spread out in color swatches. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Hanging up, I caught my reflection in the office windows. I looked exactly like I always did. Neat ponytail, minimal makeup, black athleisure that meant business. But underneath, everything was chaos. I grabbed my keys and jacket, sending a quick message to the team's secret channel. Emergency meeting with lawyer. Stand by. The elevator ride down felt endless. Whatever Mark had found, it would either destroy everything we'd been building or give us exactly the ammunition we needed. Either way, I was about to find out. Mark's office always smelled like leather and coffee, but today it felt suffocating. He spread printouts across his mahogany desk while I gripped my water bottle, trying to keep my hands steady. Your father's been busy, he said, tapping a stack of papers. Look at this. I scanned the documents, my throat tightening. Contracts with Riverside PR, a top-tier firm known for launching luxury lifestyle brands. Strategy decks, media schedules, all dated within the past week. They're planning a full-scale launch announcement, Mark explained. Press releases, influencer partnerships, the works. They're positioning it as a family legacy brand evolution. The water bottle crinkled in my grip. Remember those childhood dinners when Dad would lecture about business strategy? How he'd pound the table for emphasis, making the silverware jump. Now he was using those same tactics against me. When? My voice came out hoarse. Next Thursday. They're moving fast. Mark leaned forward. Claire, they're trying to establish public ownership before the trademark dispute can play out. If they create enough buzz, they could force my hand. I closed my eyes, remembering Mom's voice. You'll still be the face, darling. They'd planned this all along. I pulled out my phone, fingers flying over the keyboard. Team emergency meeting. Now. The next 6 hours were a blur of decisions and deadlines. My core staff crammed into our war room, laptops balanced on knees, takeout containers littering the floor. Devin, our web developer, hadn't slept in 2 days. The new site's almost ready, she said, dark circles under her eyes. But we need final approval on these sections. She turned her screen toward me, showing our reimagined product pages. Mara spread out the latest label proofs. Printer needs confirmation in the next hour if we want delivery by Tuesday. I grabbed a protein bar. Dinner would have to wait. Show me everything. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Darling, don't forget we're meeting the PR team tomorrow at 10. Wear something camera ready. I ignored it, focusing instead on the mock-ups before me. The new brand identity was everything the old one wasn't. Bold where it had been soft, confident where it had been approachable. No trace of my surname anywhere. What about the social transition? I asked Sarah, our social media director. She grinned, pulling up a draft post. How's this for subtle? It was a simple black square with white text. 72 hours until we rise. Are you ready? Perfect. I checked the time. Schedule it for 6 a.m. By 3 a.m., we had confirmation from the printer. The labels would arrive Tuesday afternoon. Devin promised the website would be live by Wednesday night. Everything was falling into place, barely. I drove home as the sky lightened, stopping for coffee at my usual spot. The barista did a double take at my appearance. Rough night? You could say that. I managed a smile, thinking of the dissolution paperwork waiting in my briefcase. One signature and it would all be over. My phone chimed just as I pulled into my parking spot. An email from Dad. Subject: big news coming. Claire, just wanted to share some exciting updates. The PR team has done incredible work positioning our brand evolution. We're going live next Thursday with a full media blast. Press releases, social campaigns, the works. They're calling it the next chapter of wellness innovation. I know you've been distant lately, but this is exactly what the company needs. What we need, you'll see. Can't wait to share our family's vision with the world. Dad, P.S. Wear that blue blazer for the photos. It makes you look more executive. I sat there, staring at my phone until the screen went dark. The sky was turning pink now, marking another sleepless night. But it didn't matter. In less than 72 hours, I'd show them exactly what executive looked like. My watch buzzed. Sarah's countdown post had just gone live. I pulled it up, watching the comments roll in. Can't wait. What's happening? Tell us more. Oh, I'd tell them more. Just not the story my parents were expecting. Monday morning hit different. You know that calm before a storm? The heavy air, the weird quiet? Yeah, this wasn't that. This was pure electricity. I arrived at the office at 7 a.m. sharp, my blazer crisp, my hands steady. Not the blue one Dad suggested. I'd chosen stark white instead. The team was already there, gathered around their monitors like soldiers at battle stations. Sarah had ordered breakfast burritos and triple-shot espressos for everyone. Servers are ready, Devin called out, her fingers flying over her keyboard. Landing page is prepped, just waiting for the signal. Mara wheeled in a cart loaded with our new product line, each item wearing its fresh identity like armor. Inventories logged and ready to ship. I checked my watch, 8:45 a.m. The dissolution paperwork sat open on my desk, every line triple-checked by Mark. 15 minutes until our coordinated strike. Remember, I told the team, absolute radio silence until everything's live. No hints, no warnings. My phone buzzed. Probably Mom with more helpful suggestions about Thursday's non-existent launch. I ignored it. The office smelled like coffee and possibility. It reminded me of those late nights when I'd first started, surrounded by prototype samples and empty energy drink cans. Back then, I dreamed of success. Now I was about to burn it all down and build something better. 8:55 a.m. Sarah pulled up our social media dashboard. Influencer posts are queued. 26 accounts ready to go live simultaneously. Newsletter blast prepped, Mara added. Subscriber list imported to the new system. My watch ticked toward 9 a.m. The team gathered around my desk, watching as I pulled up the state business portal. The dissolution form waited for my electronic signature. 3 minutes, Devin announced. I thought about Dad's latest email, his casual assumption of control, about Mom's hand pats and sugar-coated manipulation, about that damned trademark application with their names on it. 1 minute. The room held its breath. You could hear keyboards clicking, hearts pounding. 30 seconds. I positioned my cursor over the submit button. Ready? Ready, they chorused. 9 a.m. exactly. I clicked submit. The screen refreshed, confirming dissolution of the original LLC. Now, I commanded. Devin hit enter. The new website went live, sleek and powerful. Sarah activated our social campaign. Across Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, influencers began dropping their coordinated posts. Mara launched the newsletter blast. Welcome to the evolution. For 30 seconds, Nothing happened. Then, "Orders coming in!" Devin shouted. "Holy shit! They're actually coming in!" My phone exploded. Instagram notifications cascaded down my screen. Comments, shares, DMs, all of them positive, all of them excited. The hashtag's trending. Sarah was practically bouncing. Look at these responses. I scrolled through the flood of messages. This rebrand is everything. Obsessed with the new direction. Take my money now. The team huddled around monitors, watching real-time analytics climb. No one mentioned the elephant in the room. What would happen when my parents discovered their carefully planned takeover now controlled nothing but an empty shell? My phone rang. Dad's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. Mom this time declined. "Claire?" Mara called out. "We've already hit our daily sales target. It's been 7 minutes." A text from Dad. "What have you done?" I put my phone on silent and walked to the window. Outside, the city hummed with morning traffic, oblivious to the corporate execution I'd just orchestrated. The old company was dead. The new one was soaring, and somewhere across town, my parents were discovering exactly what it meant to trademark an empty name. The team was celebrating now, passing around coffee cups like champagne flutes. Sarah's phone kept pinging with influencer updates. Devin announced another spike in site traffic. My watch showed 9:15 a.m., 15 minutes. That's all it had taken to transform everything. Another text slipped through. "We need to talk. Now." "Mom." I turned back to my team, my real family. "How about breakfast? Real breakfast, not just burritos. We should celebrate properly." They deserved it. We all did. My phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Let it buzz. The storm was coming, but for now, we'd earned this moment of triumph. The morning after our rebrand, I woke up to 37 missed calls and a voicemail inbox at capacity. I deleted them all without listening, except one from Dad that started playing accidentally. "Claire, this is completely unacceptable. Do you have any idea what you've—" Delete. I sipped my morning coffee, savoring the quiet. Remember those old Sunday brunches where Mom would lecture me about settling down while Dad talked over me about real business? Funny how peaceful life gets when you stop showing up for your own ambush. My phone buzzed. Another deletion candidate. But no, this one was from Mara. "Check your email, now." I opened my laptop, scanning through the flood of unread messages. Most were order confirmations and partnership inquiries for the new brand. But halfway down, I spotted the forwarded email from Mara. Subject: Press inquiry, family trademark dispute, Ms. Dennings. I'm reaching out regarding documents showing attempted trademark appropriation of your former company. Would you care to comment on the family conflict behind your recent rebranding? Attached are email exchanges between you and your parents. My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. Those emails were private. Heated exchanges where Dad had demanded compliance, where Mom had weaponized guilt. I hadn't shared them with anyone except... I called Mark, my lawyer. "Already seen it," he said before I could speak. "And before you ask, no, I didn't leak anything." "Then who... Does it matter? Everything in those emails is factual, nothing legally compromising on our end." He was right. We'd documented everything, played it completely clean. Still, seeing private family drama potentially splashed across business columns made my stomach clench. The memory of Mom's voice floated back. Family business stays in the family. Well, they'd broken that rule first, hadn't they? My phone lit up with a text from Sarah. "Viral alert. Check Business Wire's blog." I pulled up the site. There it was, top of the page. Local wellness brand ditches family ties in bold power play. The article wasn't just a puff piece. It was detailed. Screenshots of the trademark filing. Timeline of events. Quotes from anonymous sources about Harvey and Suzanne's increasing presence in the office. It even had Dad's email signature from messages where he'd positioned himself as an executive without any actual title. My hands shook slightly as I scrolled. You know that feeling when you're keeping a secret and suddenly it's not just exposed but broadcast? Like that moment in high school when Mom accidentally told everyone about my failed dance recital? A new email popped up, from Mom this time. "Darling, we need to discuss damage control. This horrible article, people are getting the wrong idea. Call me immediately." Wrong idea? The trademark filing was public record. The emails were their own words. The truth was the truth. even if they hadn't meant for anyone to see it. Devin messaged next. Comments are 100% on your side. Check Twitter. She was right. The business community was rallying. Finally, someone exposing family exploitation in startups. This is why you need ironclad contracts even with blood relatives. Been there. Stand strong, Claire Dennings. My phone rang. Dad again. This time I answered. How dare you go to the press? He snarled. I didn't. Don't lie to me. Who else would? Maybe check with your PR firm, I cut in. The one you hired to announce our launch? Silence. Or the marketing agency you paid to prep for a company takeover that never happened? More silence. How much did you spend on all that, Dad? 40,000? 50? You ungrateful little... I hung up. Blocked the number. Mom tried next via text. People are asking questions at the club. This is humiliating. Blocked her too. My laptop pinged with another press request. Then another. The story was spreading faster than our actual rebrand. Each new article seemed to dig deeper, finding angles I hadn't even considered. One business podcast was already calling it a masterclass in corporate self-defense. I closed my laptop and walked to the window. The same city view as yesterday, but everything felt different. Lighter, maybe, or just clearer. Sarah messaged again. 3 more major outlets picking up the story. Want me to send statements? No, I replied. Let the facts speak for themselves. Because really, what could I add? They'd tried to take my company. I'd built a new one. They'd pushed for control. I'd chosen freedom. The emails, the trademark filing, the whole mess. It was all there in black and white. The truth had walked itself out into the sunlight, and I hadn't needed to guide it by the hand. The story kept growing legs. By Wednesday morning, 3 major wellness influencers had reshared the Business Wire piece, each adding their own takes on family betrayal in female-founded companies. My DMs filled with messages from other founders sharing similar stories, though few had receipts quite as detailed as our trademark dispute. Remember how Instagram drama usually dies down after 24 hours? This didn't. If anything, it gained momentum. Every time I refreshed my feed, another wellness personality had picked up the thread. The narrative wasn't kind to my parents. Classic boomer entitlement, one podcast host commented. Thinking they can cash in on their daughter's success just because they changed her diapers. Notice how they waited until she was profitable? Another noted. Where was this family support during the startup phase? I winced at some of the harsher comments. Yes, they'd tried to steal my company. Yes, I was angry. But watching the internet tear apart your parents, even when they deserve it, still feels strange. Like watching someone punch a bully you used to love. Sarah forwarded me an email from one of our suppliers. Just FYI, your mother tried to place a massive order under the old company name. We obviously declined and assured her we're fully aligned with your new brand. How many others? I asked. All of them. She tried everyone on our vendor list. Even the bottle manufacturer in Oregon. That explained the frustrated voicemail Mom had somehow left from a new number. None of our orders are going through. Fix this immediately. Our orders. The delusion ran deep. Devin, my CFO, caught me between meetings. You should see this, she said, sliding over a printout. Harvey's marketing agency sent us their final invoice. Apparently, they'd already started production on promotional materials. I scanned the total, $42,680. That's not counting the trademark lawyers, Devin added, or the PR firm they hired for the launch announcement. The numbers made me queasy. Dad had always preached fiscal responsibility, mocked my risky business loans. Now he'd blown through serious cash trying to steal my company, and ended up with nothing but some unusable marketing materials and a trademark to an empty shell. My phone buzzed. A text from my old college roommate. Your mom just posted in our alumni group asking for support during this difficult time. Girl, the drama. I could picture it perfectly. Mom's carefully worded post, probably mentioning her daughter's unfortunate choices, and how family means forgiveness. She'd always been strategic with her social circles, building sympathy through selective storytelling. But this time, the story wasn't hers to control. Claire, my assistant poked her head in. That reporter from Wellness Weekly is on line 1. They want a statement about the family business controversy. I'd been declining interviews, letting the facts speak for themselves. But my inbox was overflowing with something else. Customer messages, hundreds of them. Women sharing their own stories of family manipulation, of having to choose between peace and power. They weren't just buying products anymore. They were investing in something bigger. Tell them I'm focused on filling orders, I said. The numbers speak for themselves. And they did. Our sales had tripled since the rebrand went public. Each order felt like a vote of confidence, a tiny revolution in a shipping box. Later that afternoon, I found an envelope on my desk. Inside was a glossy proof from Dad's marketing agency, a family photo they'd planned to use, all three of us posed like some multi-generational success story. The tagline made me snort, a legacy of wellness. I dropped it in the recycling and opened my laptop to review our latest campaign. Just me, doing a headstand in front of the new logo. No forced family narrative, no borrowed glory. Simple, clean, true. A notification popped up. Another vendor email. Mrs. Dennings, your mother, attempted to schedule a meeting regarding distribution channels. We've blocked her number per your previous instructions. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated. Instead, I felt tired. Not of working or growing or succeeding, just tired of the drama they'd forced me to navigate. My phone lit up with an order alert, then another, and another. I closed the vendor email and focused on what mattered. Customers who chose us, staff who believed in us, and a brand that finally, fully belonged to me. That night, my apartment felt too quiet. You know that hollow feeling after a major victory, when the adrenaline fades and reality settles in? That's where I was. I'd opened a bottle of wine, the good stuff I'd been saving for someday, but it sat untouched on my coffee table. Instead, I found myself cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by old photo albums, the kind with actual prints, not digital memories. There we were at Disney World, me probably 7, wearing Mickey ears and squished between Mom and Dad. Their smiles looked so genuine. Dad had waited in line for 2 hours just so I could meet Ariel. Mom had packed special snacks because I was going through a phase where I'd only eat orange foods. My throat tightened. The memory carried the scent of Florida heat and sunscreen, of complete trust in the two people who were supposed to protect me forever. Were you always like this? I whispered to their frozen faces. Was I just too young to see it? Another photo. My high school graduation. They'd thrown this elaborate party, invited everyone who mattered. I remembered Mom fussing over my hair, Dad proudly introducing me as our future lawyer. When I'd announced I was majoring in business instead, their disappointment had been palpable. The first crack in their perfect plan. My phone buzzed. Rachel, my COO. Just checking in, she texted. You've been quiet today. I sent back a photo of my current situation. Wine, photos, general mess of emotions. She called immediately. Talk to me, she said. I'm looking at these pictures, my voice cracked, and I keep thinking, maybe if I'd been clearer about boundaries earlier, maybe if I'd... Stop. Rachel's tone was gentle but firm. They had every chance to support you properly. Instead, they tried to take what you built. No apology was ever offered, only paperwork. She was right. Even now, weeks after the rebrand, they hadn't once acknowledged the harm they'd tried to cause. Just angry demands and attempts to salvage their reputation. I know, I sighed. It's just, these photos. We look so happy. Because you were. You were being the daughter they wanted. The moment you became something they couldn't control. They tried to control it anyway, I finished. I grabbed my journal, the fancy leather one I'd splurged on after my first profitable quarter. Flipping to a fresh page, I wrote, They lost me the moment they erased me. The truth of it hit hard. In trying to claim my success, they'd denied the very thing that made it meaningful. My journey, my struggle, my growth. The new studio looks amazing, Rachel said, changing the subject. The team can't wait for next week's opening. I glanced at my mood board, photos of the renovated space with its clean lines and natural light. No trace of the old branding. No hint of compromise. Remember what you said when we first viewed the location? Rachel continued. You said it felt like freedom. I did remember. I'd walked into that empty industrial space and seen possibility in every bare wall, every unfinished corner. The same way I'd once looked at my laptop and yoga mat and seen a future others couldn't imagine. Thanks, Rach, I said softly. For everything. After hanging up, I packed away the albums, not throwing them out, I wasn't ready for that, but storing them where they belonged, in the past. I finally poured that wine and walked to my window. The city lights blurred like stars, each one a reminder of other people out there building their own dreams. How many of them were also choosing themselves tonight? How many were learning that sometimes love means walking away? My phone buzzed again. A message from our social media manager. Team's ready for tomorrow's prep. We're going to make this opening iconic. I smiled, thinking of the space waiting to be filled with purpose. The fresh plants being delivered at dawn. The custom meditation cushions arranged in perfect circles. The wall where we'd film our first official class. No forced family narrative, no borrowed glory, just pure, hard-earned truth. I opened my journal again and added, reinvention isn't just about new logos or locations. It's about choosing your own story, even when that story hurts, especially then. The morning light streamed through our floor-to-ceiling windows, catching the crystals we'd hung in perfect constellation patterns. I breathed in deeply, lemongrass and sage from our signature opening day blend. Everything gleamed, the white oak floors buffed to perfection, meditation cushions arranged in precise circles, shelves lined with products bearing our new Phoenix-inspired logo. 5 minutes until doors open, Rachel announced, tablet in hand. Press is already lined up outside. My stomach fluttered, not from nerves. This was different. This was anticipation, pure and electric. I ran my hand along the smooth bark of our indoor olive tree, remembering the day we'd picked it out. Something that grows stronger with age, the nursery owner had said. Perfect metaphor, really. You should see the social media mentions. Our marketing director, Jade, called from her corner. The hashtag's trending locally. People are loving the rebrand story. I smiled, adjusting the strap of my fitted black tank top. No designer labels today, just clean lines and function, like everything else in the space. My new business cards sat in their bamboo holder at reception. Minimal text, maximum impact. No surname needed. The first wave of guests filtered in. Lifestyle bloggers, wellness influencers, loyal clients who'd followed us from the beginning. Their eyes widened as they took in the space. I caught fragments of their whispered conversations, completely elevated. So much better than before. Can't believe her parents tried to. I tuned that last one out. Today wasn't about them. It was about every sleepless night, every calculated risk, every moment I chose to believe in myself when no one else did. Ready for the opening shot? Jade asked, professional camera in hand. We'd planned this carefully, me, in a headstand against our feature wall, the new logo glowing behind me. Simple. Powerful. Mine. I moved into position, feeling the cool floor beneath my palms. The crowd hushed, phones raised. This wasn't just a photo op. It was a statement. Every breath, every muscle engagement reflected years of practice, of falling and getting back up, of building strength nobody could see until I chose to show it. The flip into headstand was smooth, controlled. Blood rushed to my head, but my vision stayed clear. The logo behind me caught the morning light perfectly, curves of gold and white that somehow managed to look both fierce and serene. Not a hint of my old branding anywhere. Not a trace of the name my parents had tried to claim. Cameras clicked. My team watched with knowing smiles. They'd been there for the late nights, the secret planning sessions, the moment-by-moment rebuild of everything we stood for. They understood what this pose really meant. Unshakable foundation, inverted perspective, the strength to stand on your own, even if it meant standing on your head. Beautiful, Jade murmured, adjusting her angle. Now the quote we discussed? I felt it then, that perfect moment of balance. Physical, emotional, professional. Everything aligned. My voice came out clear and steady, no rehearsal needed. I built this whole damn thing. Watch me do it twice. More clicks, more whispers. Someone in the crowd actually applauded. But I stayed focused, held the pose a moment longer, letting the truth of those words sink into my bones. Because I had built it twice. First from desperation, then from determination. Each version stronger than the last. When I finally lowered my legs, the room spun briefly. Not from the inversion, but from the rush of seeing my vision fully realized. The space hummed with possibility. Our signature candles flickered in their metallic holders. The morning light painted everything in shades of potential. Rachel appeared at my side, offering water. That's going to be iconic, she said quietly. I took a sip, watching our guests explore the space, They ran their hands over our new packaging, tested the meditation cushions, scrolled through the class schedule on our sleek digital displays. No one asked about the old brand. No one mentioned family legacy or borrowed expertise. They were too busy experiencing what authentic ownership looked like. Time for the welcome speech? Rachel checked her schedule. I nodded, rolling my shoulders back. The day was just beginning, but I already felt grounded in its significance. This wasn't just a studio opening, it was a declaration. Every detail, from the hand-poured candles to the carefully curated class offerings, reflected a singular vision. My vision. Standing at the center of the room, I caught my reflection in the windows. Steady stance, clear eyes, not a hint of doubt. Ready to welcome everyone into this space that was, undeniably and irrevocably, mine. I believe stories like this find us for a reason. If this one touched you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day, and tomorrow's might be the one your heart's been waiting for.